that Mars ascendant Uranus and Pluto ascendant and the quincunxus of the south node and Saturn aspect, Saturn octile to midheaven, are saying, yeah, but stay conscious, stay aware that there is a struggle there in your own nature. You know, you want it, you don't want it. Are you aware of the ambivalence? If you're aware of it, you can handle it, you can work it out. If you're not aware of it, comes problems. Okay, some of you may know what happened. Any of you know the event? Oh, John will tell me personally. You want to guess? Marriage was one definite possibility. He was engaged to be married. Yeah, he was engaged to be married at the time.
There's a big pulling apart coming together, pulling apart coming
Yeah.
together thing.
There's a lot of separation aspects at the same time. The quincunxes and the opposition. He was engaged to be married, and he was also scheduled to move to a new area, and he was still living in his birthplace. Never moved from his birthplace. He had traveled a lot with the Sagittarius. Huge amount of travel, but he was living in the city where he was born. And he planned to actually make a major move, marry and move to a new area. But that's not the event for which this is set. Those do fit the chart, they are appropriate for the chart, and the main message in the chart that's, as we've been pointing out, is the need to be conscious of the ambivalence over freedom versus closeness, and independence versus dominance and dependency.
Was it something physical that happened to him?
Yep.
Handicap?
He had a fatal accident. He was unfortunately, even though he was a student of astrology and actually teaching astrology and had written 2 books on astrology, he still had no real understanding of the psychological principles of astrology, including of his own nature. Was not aware of how afraid he was of losing the control, or losing his independence, being hurt in some way. And he had a fatal accident on a moped, and died in surgery following the accident. So this is the chart of the day of death, a progress chart. And this is an example when we're not handling our freedom needs. One way to do it is to run away. But it's a way to unconsciously escape what we're afraid of. One other thing I do not have in this chart that is very interesting, heliocentric Mars was at 6 Aquarius. The progressed ascendant was on the heliocentric position of Mars in the natal chart. Now, logically, as we said the other day, it doesn't make any sense to put a heliocentric position in a geocentric chart. But when you look at that, you think, okay, doesn't make any sense, but it sure works.
It was 6 degrees Aquarius?
Right. His natal position of Mars, as seen from the Sun, was 6 degrees of Aquarius. And his progressed ascendant was right on it. So the ascendant on Mars, Mars at the midpoint of the ascendant Uranus square, semi-square both, octave both, heavy aspects there over that whole issue of I can't let myself get trapped. I have to maintain my independence. Now, I want you to look at the other page that I gave you with 4 little charts on it. These are the, as they're labeled, the solar return and the precession corrected solar return, the kinetic solar return, and the precession corrected kinetic solar return. So we have 4 solar returns here, 4 options. We don't have local houses. There's not that complication, which is fortunate, I guess. He was living where he was born, so we have no local houses, and the accident happened in the same city. So we have no confusion on that issue. But look at these 4 charts and Mars. Remember, you just looked to see that Mars was, ascendant was on heliocentric Mars, and Mars was semi-square ascendant Uranus. In the top left chart, Mars is opposite the ascendant, plus it's conjunct the natal ascendant moon. Note that natal moon was 9 Sagittarius and Venus, and there's Mars at 9 Sagittarius in his kinetic solar return. His precession kinetic return has moved Mars just a little further to 10 Sagittarius, and now it's on the midheaven instead of the 7th house cusp. And the midheaven is exactly on the natal ascendant. Lower left, the normal solar return, those things get wiped out, those sides when the photocopier cuts them. But that ascendant is 21 Sagittarius, and that is on natal Mars. In his natal chart, Mars is 22 Sagittarius. So the ascendant of that chart is on natal Mars. And the last chart to the right, we have Mars moved to the ascendant of the chart at 0 Scorpio. He's on the precession corrected ascendant.
I guess Mars is sort of involved.
Mars on an angle in every single chart. Every one. You have to look at that and say, that's not an accident. When every different system shows the same message, that's not an accident. That's part of his character, becoming destiny and showing in many ways. And I believe it could have been changed if he had been aware. If he had said, look, I'm really panicked at the idea of being trapped. Let's live together a while and wait on marriage. Or something, you know, to become conscious of that. Didn't have to run away in that really drastic way.
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Yeah.
On the moped?
Not consciously. Not consciously.
Who runs away on a moped? The harder we
But
get.
even it was even more, you know, the unconscious actually did give him warning. The day before or 2 days before, but just before the fatal accident, he had a car accident. And the car was damaged, but he wasn't damaged. He didn't even see the warning, you know, the unconscious speaking of that. The average person who does not know that your character is setting it up says, oh, it's an unfortunate accident, or Mars did it. Yeah. But it was, he had the information. With a car accident, didn't stop him, he went out on the moped. And it was dusk, the lights were bad, and he ran into a truck, and he did it himself. But not consciously, obviously. Yes, sometimes. Especially with Mars rising in Sagittarius, square Uranus.
Freedom at any cost.
Yeah. Okay, even the lunar returns had aspects that the solar returns, all 4 of them, were so impressive. This is one of the most impressive cases I've seen.
We don't really see, I mean, Mars isn't on an angle on just the solar return, so would you,
Yes, it is.
well, it's in the 10th house.
No. It's that, in that case, it's the ascendant of the chart is on natal Mars. You have to compare that chart with the natal chart. So the ascendant of that chart is 21 Gemini, 21 Sagittarius.
Uh-huh.
His natal Mars is 22 Sagittarius.
Uh-huh.
So he has that ascendant on his natal Mars.
Okay.
There is a Mars angle there. Yeah. Every way we look at it. Plus also on that chart, there are always other aspects too. The moon is on the 4th house cusp in Aries. That's that same freedom-closeness struggle as his Sagittarius moon on the ascendant in the natal chart. I want closeness, I can't handle it.
Well, with Mars too, do you see that just as his will versus the will of the universe around him?
It's Mars is essentially your right and ability to protect yourself and your own rights. To do it yourself, what you want to do. And the moon is where you want to care for someone else or be cared for. And there is an inherent conflict there. Are you going to do it yourself, or are you going to be involved with someone else? Let your needs be dependent on their actions, or limit your own actions to protect them.
Uh-huh.
But he obviously felt that was taking away his selfness.
Right? Yeah, and he wanted it, and at the same time, at the unconscious level, he was terrified of it.
And Mars always goes out and does exactly what it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down, Mars always does it.
Mars is, I want to
That's
do,
very deep.
I think
Yeah.
that's a really good line, I think.
it's, I want to do what I want to do right now.
I do, I think that's a good line.
Yeah, that's the essence of it. Pure self-will in action right now. And with that is, I won't depend on anyone else, and no one should depend on me. I mentioned to some of you one of my most, to me, shocking experiences was with a guy who had Mars, Sun, Uranus conjunct in Aries in the 11th house, opposite Jupiter in Libra, square Pluto in Cancer. And I always interpret a chart in a way that leaves them their self-esteem, you know. This is a challenge between the side of you that wants to be independent and the side of you that wants to be close, to care for
Roll
others,
your eyes and say, "What
to
is
give
your-"
to others. And he said in so many words, I don't care if anybody, I said, when we have this kind of conflict, often we have trouble letting others give to us, we lose our independence if we can't allow that to happen. He says, well, I don't care what anybody does for me, I just don't want to have to do anything for anyone else.
Huh.
He's very straight out about it. That's the essence of Aries, if it's allowed full action.
Then fun to live with.
Yes. He was an MD, besides.
Oh, gee, terrific.
Yeah. Fortunately, not in personal practice. He worked in a lab. Didn't have to have a bedside manner.
Huh. Well, people like that should live alone.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this is the pioneer days when you're married to have somebody cook your food for you and take care of the kids.
Yep.
Your future ranch hand.
Huh?
That's right. Let's get pregnant again, we need some more hired help.
Free help.
Yeah, true.
Okay, now,
Don't
any,
wait for their inheritance.